Every fall, there's an annual propaganda drop called Transgender Day of Remembrance. The idea being that transgender people are murdered at some excessive rate, and just for being transgender. These are all hate killings. When in fact the numbers are so small that the math shows that transgender people are murdered at a rate lower than the general population, and often the cases cited aren't even murders at all. They're not even criminal homicides of any kind. They're commonly justified killings, actually, like the woman who attacked a San Francisco security guard when she was caught stealing, or the guy who shot at cops at the Atlanta police training site. And the commitment to that propaganda is so deep that even when the situation is reversed and a transgender person kills others, like, say, children at a Nashville Christian school in 2023, the reaction is still, won't somebody please think of the trans people?
It is shameful, it is disturbing, and our hearts go out to the trans community as they are under attack right now.
And in that theme, man, it sure does seem like the situation is getting reversed a lot lately. Now, I don't know what the data say, and because transgender anything is so rare, committing murders, getting murdered, or otherwise, making conclusive data claims is almost impossible in this context anyway. But it really seems like sometime soon, we're going to need Killed By Transgender Day of Remembrance, actually, because if the benchmark for special recognition is only 32 annually, it's not going to take very long at this pace. In recent years, we have seen several mass shootings committed by transgender-identified killers, well beyond just Nashville. Just last week, a U.S. Border Patrol agent was gunned down in Vermont by 2 trans shooters who were part of an entire trans organization connected to at least 3 other murders. These stories tend not to make widely discussed national news, except, of course, to remind you, no, there is no epidemic of trans shooters, you crazy kook. Well, there was yet another example of it supposedly not happening this week, and in any other context, I suspect the coverage of it would be a lot louder, since we've also been repeatedly informed for years that threats and violence against the U.S. Capitol are the most significant problem facing our country, and any legal mercy for those who do it is a national scandal. Now, technically, this isn't an example of the non-story of trans shooters, so I guess that Washington Post fact check does hold, but would-be trans bomber is certainly a similar threat. Consider these headlines that are correctly worded but confuse an important fact. Boston Globe, Massachusetts man arrested at U.S. Capitol wanted to kill Trump cabinet members. New York Times, man planned to kill new GOP leaders with Molotov cocktails. CNN, armed man arrested at Capitol after threatening to kill Trump cabinet members. That was the phrasing upon arrest Monday. A man is suspected. Until Boston local CBS WUSA added some details and changed the terminology. Come Tuesday morning, it was woman with Molotov cocktails threatened to kill cabinet members. Wow, what a smooth transition to cover the transition, I guess. TV reporting was also very confused. It's a dude.
We now know that a man from South Deerfield was arrested in Washington, D.C.
Nah, it's a chick.
She was armed and threatening to kill some of President Trump's cabinet members.
Who the hell even knows? You know what? Let's just say it's a person, and they were arrested and charged.
The person police arrested with 2 potential explosive devices outside the U.S. Capitol is from Massachusetts. Those same documents also say the person told officers they wanted to kill members of the Trump administration.
Why the changing terms? Well, as local CBS explained, the suspect, previously identified as Ryan Michael English, is actually Riley Jane English. And his public defender says he is a transgender woman who faces ridicule, discrimination, abuse, and scorn from family and friends because of his identity. Well, why are they your friends if they treat you with scorn and ridicule? That's even more nonsensical than the pronoun juggling itself. But I guess I'll just stick to the question that matters. What actually happened at the Capitol? At least this guy turned himself in instead of acting on his apparent plan. But according to the affidavit in support of the charges, on Monday afternoon, the suspect, English, just approached a Capitol police officer, said he had 2 Molotov cocktails and a knife, and he wanted to surrender. What was the intent with this bomby stabby kit? At the time, Trump's pick for Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent was inside for his Senate confirmation vote, so he would be the convenient target. When English originally left Massachusetts on Sunday for D.C., he wanted to kill that Nazi Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, or maybe House Speaker Mike Johnson. Bessent apparently just became the target out of convenience. English looked at Reddit and saw, oh, it's Bessent Day on Capitol Hill today. Fine, I guess then he's the guy. The plan was to throw Molotovs at his feet and maybe stab him if he could get close enough. And English was serious about this, at least serious enough to bring the equipment and do the recon. He had the Molotovs on him, he had the knife on him, and he had conducted surveillance anticipating that he'd have to kill at least 3 Capitol cops to get to Bessent to make him do the Antifa fire feet dance, the Molotov can. Despite the voluntary surrender, English was still arrested and charged, not for the plot, at least not yet, but for possession of illegal explosives. He had 2 on him, and they were not properly registered with the ATF. As you'd expect, these were simply vodka bottles with cloth inserted into them, plus a trusty Bic lighter for ignition. The motives are explicitly political, according to the suspect himself, but they're beyond just targeting Republicans or Trump officials. There's apparently a health motive and motive directly related to the transgenderism itself. English told police he has a congenital heart defect and only has months to live, and so he felt like he had to do this. It was his remaining life's mission. On his person, police discovered a note to Judith. Who that is or what that relationship is isn't specified, at least in the affidavit, but that note reads in part, Judith, dear God, I am so sorry. You must understand I can feel myself dying slowly because of my heart. This is terrible, but I can't do nothing while Nazis kill my sisters. Implicitly, I understand that to mean fellow transgender guys because the note continues, fuck them, as in the Nazis or our political opposition, for pushing us so far. I love you. This is awful. I am so sorry. Please stay alive and heal if you can. Please survive. Well, if Judith is a fellow sister, then the challenge to stay alive may prove impossible, statistically speaking. Because of the constant Nazi threat, of course. Once in police custody, English also cited celebrity murderer Luigi Mangione as an inspiration, the guy who killed the United Healthcare CEO on the Manhattan street in November. English said, I had been thinking about this for a while because of Luigi. I've seen the response to that situation. It was not an everyday thing, and it extremely shook up everything. So congrats to Luigi on his honorary sisterhood. Sister English is in custody for now, but his lawyer is fighting for his release. And it sounds like the prospect for that is actually pretty good. According to WUSA's reporting, defendants in similar recent federal cases have been released, and those were people who actually did throw their Molotovs, or at least lit fires. In 2020, a guy actually threw a Molotov at an unmarked police car, and the now chief judge in the D.C. Federal District Court released him. And then, citing that decision earlier this month, another federal judge in Virginia released a man to house arrest after he was charged for setting the roof of his car on fire near the Capitol while Jimmy Carter was lying in state. Given the similar circumstances and the fact that no Molotov was actually thrown in this case and a clean prior record, it is very possible that Sister English will be released and reunited with Sister Judith very soon. He's still in custody for now, pending some court hearings, but the question in this case and others like it remains. How long are we going to pretend that the sisterhood and the nearly actualized assassination plot have nothing to do with each other? The suspect in this case explicitly said, I am doing this because of transgender-related motives. My sisterhood has been pushed so far, which, like the identity itself, is the opposite of the reality. This country and American society have never been more accommodating of this delusion, and the more accommodating it gets, the bigger the supposed threat against it is perceived to be, to the point that counter threats like this one are rationalized as justified. But hey, maybe another executive order will address the issue. A total and complete ban on all sisterhood-related activities.
Until our country's representatives can figure out what the hell is going on. We have no choice. We have no choice.
And the good news is, often and in this case, it's not very hard to figure out at all, actually. All you gotta do is listen to the guy talk. Though, I guess with the sisterhood, those with experience inform me, That is much easier said than done.
You suck. Fuck you. Fuck you. You're not wanted. Fuck you. You're a fucking idiot. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Hey, get the fuck out.
Thanks as always for listening and for supporting this channel. Always appreciate that thoughtful discussion down below, and especially over on X. That is at ML Christiansen. You're always welcome to coming out and chatting my live streams. Those are live on Wednesday and Sunday nights. Looking forward to it. Come on.